So in this video we're going to be looking at the Wi-Fi connectivity and the Wi-Fi setup. It also has NFC on this camera, and NFC and Wi-Fi are very similar in terms of how they're set up. So you'll see most of the NFC setup here, although we're actually doing Wi-Fi. In order to set up for Wi-Fi, you need a few things. First of all, you need either a smartphone, or in this instance we've got an iPad. And on that smartphone or iPad, you need to have put your Canon Connect app. Now it's called Canon Connect, and it's an app which is available for Apple and Android, and you can find it in the App Store. Once you've uploaded that onto here, then you need to start looking into the camera. Now, if you remember when we were looking at the setups, then in Setup tab 3, there is the Wi-Fi and NFC connectivity options. So at the top of Setup tab 3, you have the Wi-Fi NFC disable or enable. And of course, in most cases, the default is disable until you want to use it. So if you go into that, then you choose enable. Now bear in mind, as it says here, that if you enable Wi-Fi, you will disable the cable connection to your computer. You can't have both of them running at the same time. Just bear that in mind. So if you have enable and you allow NFC connections, then select that. And now at this point, the first time you use this, you are required to select a nickname. And that is so that when the smartphone and the camera, or the computer and the camera, are looking for each other, you know what the camera is called, so that you can make that selection and allow the computer or smartphone to connect to it. So once you've chosen your nickname and okayed it, you'll find that the camera returns you back to the menu tabs, and you'll be at the top where Wi-Fi NFC is now enabled, and the function below it, which is the Wi-Fi function option, is now activated. So you can go into that, and then you'll see here the Wi-Fi function options. You have the option either to connect to smartphone, or you have the option to upload to web service. Now the web service here is the Canon online service. We're not going to go into that. It's not available in all countries. What we're going to focus on today is connect to smartphone. So we click on that, and then we have two more options, either easy connection or select a network. Now this is where NFC kicks in for here for easy connection. If you had a smartphone with NFC, you could literally pick it up now and tap the camera with it, and the two would be connected. However, this iPad doesn't have NFC, so we're going to connect via the Wi-Fi. So we move down one and to select that network, and then we press OK. And then the camera starts to look for the possible Wi-Fi connections within its range. And what you'll also see here is this green light flashing, the Wi-Fi light, to show that it's functioning properly. So when it's gone and looked and searched for every Wi-Fi connection, they pop up here, and I can see, for example, that the top one for me is the one that's our home Wi-Fi. So I'm going to select that, and then I get the choice, or the requirement really, to enter the password, which is what I have here, my PIN number. So I shall just enter my PIN number. Okay, well once you've put your Wi-Fi password in, which is a bit of a palaver on the cross keys, but at least you only have to put it in once. You then get the option of auto setting or manual setting on the back of the camera. So we choose auto setting and OK that, and then the camera is connected to the Wi-Fi, and you can start looking here on the iPad to set this up. Camera not connected, camera connected. Okay. So now that the camera and the iPad are connected, you have three choices on here. The first one is images on camera, which allows you to go through the playback folder on the camera and look at them on the big screen here. And then if you want to see one close up, you can tap on it and it will download it as a high-res image. And then if you want to download it onto the iPad, you can just do the download here, and it will save the image onto the iPad, which of course is perfect for social media. And then if we want to go back, we just press that button and then we can go back to home. And you see at the bottom there's camera settings. Now if we press that, you can see in fact there's not a great deal that you can do here. They're really just settings about time, date and place. The more interesting option is the middle one, which is remote shooting. Now if I click on that, you can see here that the camera clicks into life, and it's not a very good image here because we're in manual, but it gives us the opportunity to change things around. The central square here is the focus square, but first of all I'm going to change the settings because the shutter speed is far too slow here, or rather far too fast. So I'm going to slow that down to here, and then we can see it lighten up a little, and then I will change the aperture to let a little bit more light in. I'll knock that down to f4, and you can see that it's gradually lightening up, and now you can see that there's a proper image. Now that we've got the proper image on the screen, I will just make sure that the autofocus box is in the right place, which is in the middle, which is fine. And then there's this small button beneath this, which is the shutter button. Oh, shouldn't have done that, which is the focus button. So I will press that, and if I keep my thumb on it, you can hear that it's focusing. And in this way, you can use this iPad to shoot from this camera remotely. The other settings you can do on here are manual focus or autofocus. This is obviously an autofocus, and you could change the ISO. So I'm going to move that up perhaps to 800, and then that will, perhaps 400. The great thing, of course, is because it's pretty much a live feed, you can actually see the quality of the image as you're changing these settings. So again, if I can just make sure that that is absolutely sharp, then I can press that. If I'm slightly concerned about the sharpness, then I can just tap on the screen and the box will move. The focus box will move to where I've just tapped, and then I can focus, perhaps in this instance, on the flowers again, and then I can press that. And that is a great way of using the camera remotely if that is in fact what you want to do. I must say, I think the ability to download the pictures is better rather than the remote options, but either way, it's just a way of linking, connecting via Wi-Fi, an iPad or smartphone to your camera. As you can see, it's not as difficult as it might seem. The software in the camera and also in the smartphones is pretty intuitive and leads you along very nicely so that you don't have to think too much or worry too much about what you're doing. Wi-Fi connectivity as a whole, I think, is good in this camera so that you can get your pictures onto social media. You can upload them onto a smartphone and then send them into your account, and I think that works very well. I think it's a bit limited in its ability to shoot remotely. I can see that there may be times when you might want that, but I would say that predominantly the reason you want Wi-Fi for this camera is to get your pictures onto social media.